know we're really close to Christmas, but if you need a last minute gift idea, I have you covered with 3 different types of hot cocoa pouches. The first type of hot cocoa pouch I want to show you requires no special tools. So if you're a beginner paper crafter, this would be a great project for you because you don't need anything fancy. And you can see it's just a little folder. It has my hot cocoa packet, a candy cane, and there's even a little pocket on the top here that you could slip in a gift card or some lottery tickets. To get started, I've already cut a piece of paper down to 8.5 by 5.5, and you can see this is just double-sided pattern cardstock, and this is so easy. You could mass produce a ton of these if you need teacher gifts, neighbor gifts, coworkers, whatever. So to get started, I have it laid out so that my 8.5-inch side is running horizontal. I'm just going to take my paper and I'm going to fold it in half. So this is what I mean. You could use a scoreboard here if you wanted to, but if you don't have one, it's okay. You don't need anything fancy. I'm going to give this a good crease with my bone folder. And then from this corner here, so you can see it's folded like a book now, I'm going to take this top right-hand corner and I'm just going to swing it back down and fold it. I have it lined up on my cutting mat here, so right here I left about 1/2 inch. You don't have to be exact with this, just give it a good eyeball. So about 1/2 inch from this left hand side is where I'm folding this top right corner down to. And again, I'm going to give this a good crease so that I have a nice line to see. So when I open this back up, now you'll see we have created a score mark here just by folding it over. Might be a little easier to see on this side. Here we go. See, here's our score mark here. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut this triangle off. Okay. Now that's nice and cut off, and when I fold this back over, we have this nice pattern, and when I flip my little pocket over, the trees are going the wrong way, but that's okay. We're going to cover that up with some decorations anyway. And this is what's going to create our little pocket on the front. Now, if you don't need the pocket on the front, just get rid of it. Just use this. This will still hold the hot cocoa and the candy cane. Now on this piece that I cut off, you can still see that there is a little bit of that fold line there. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean that up because I do want to use this piece as my front pocket and I don't want to see that little fold line. So I just clean that up a little bit. But again, that's up to you. If that's not something that bothers you, don't worry about it. Now there's just a few places we need to glue on our folder here. So I opened it back up and this is the side that's going to flap over. So I'm just going to add glue along the bottom here, just a really fine bead of glue, and along this little piece that attaches to the right side. So once I have my glue laid down, I'll just fold that back over, give it a little press, make sure that glue is nice and set in there. And then to attach our little pocket, I'm just going to flip this back over. And if you wanted to use the same pattern on the front, you could. It would line up just the same. But I figured since I have a double-sided paper, I may as well take advantage of both patterns. So on this one, I'm just going to put glue on the 2 sides. So right along this side and right along that side. And I'm just going to line that back up in the bottom left-hand corner of my folder. And that is the basic construction of our little cocoa folder. Now, since we are running so close to Christmas, I don't want to take a lot of time working on embellishments for this because I just ran out of time, right? So I went to Walmart and I picked out 2 really cute packs of gift tags. This is just a plain tag style with a white Christmas tree on it, and these ones have a bunch of different scenes and graphics on them, and they fold like a little book. So I'm going to use these pre-made tags to my advantage. And here's the one with the little tree on it, and it already has this cute red ribbon. So I'm going to hot glue that right in this bottom corner here. just on the two sides. And that's what I meant whenever I said that it didn't matter to me that the trees weren't facing the right direction, because I knew you wouldn't be able to see that anyway. And I like how this little ribbon sticks out on the top. And then this is the tag that I picked out of that other pack, and you can see it opens and closes like a book. So this way I have a space to write a little message and a little to and from right here. And I like that this one has little trees on it kind of to go with that. Now this already has a piece of foam on the back that you can use to stick it down, but I always like to add just a touch of hot glue just to make sure that that's really going to stick. And I just want to make sure that my hot glue doesn't cross over my pocket here. So I'm just going to place that right on top of the other tag, and this kind of gives, you know, that collage effect. So I have my layered tags here, and then I have my 3 different pattern papers here too. So it kind of gives you that mixed media collage look. And then all I need to do to get this gift ready is slip in my hot cocoa packet, my candy cane. You can stick this on either side. I'll put it over here, and then if this is somebody that I want to give a gift card to, I can slide that right in that front pocket, and this gift is ready to go. Now this next hot cocoa pouch, I've seen this done before, and I don't know who came up with this original idea, but I can tell you that I saw it on the channel called Lyric Lover Crafts. She's made a bunch of these for her different craft fair series before, so I'll make sure that I link one of her videos down below. So for this cocoa pouch, you'll need a number 10 envelope. And if you need to know the size of that, it's right here. It's 9 3/8 by 4 1/8. So what I'm going to do before I do any kind of cutting is I'm just going to open up the flap of my envelope and run some double-sided tape along the top there, because I don't really like to lick envelopes, but you could do what you want. You just need to make sure that this is sealed before you do any kind of cutting. So now that my envelope's sealed, I'm just going to take it over to my paper trimmer, and I'm going to cut from one end down to 4 1/4 inches. So here's the closed end, here's our open end, and this is going to be one pouch. Now on this piece that's left over, here's the open end and here's the closed end. So I want to make sure that I get the closed end over here. So I'm cutting on the open end side, and I'm going to measure that one down to 4 1/4 also, and give a little cut, and you can see there's just one little piece that's extra. So from one envelope you can make 2 hot cocoa pouches. Now that we have our hot cocoa pouch part ready, I went ahead and I cut 2 pieces of double-sided scrapbook paper down to 4 by 4. And like always, whenever I do any kind of paper crafting like this, I always have the measurements for everything in the description box below, so you don't have to worry about trying to remember all these or write these down, because they'll be down there for you. Now I'm adding a good bit of my double-sided adhesive to this pattern cardstock, and I'm just centering it up inside one side of my cocoa pouch here as best as I can, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. I'm just going to add, well, I was going to use double-sided adhesive for this side too, but my tape gun had other plans. It started to get funny, and I don't feel like messing around trying to fix the ribbon inside, so I'm just going to switch to some wet adhesive for the other side. So we have our pattern paper on one side, and since I'm using the side of the pattern paper that doesn't have a direction to it, it really doesn't matter how I get it on there, because this is just snowflakes. There's no up or down, so I'm not worried about where the opening of my pouch is. But if you're using a pattern with a direction, just make sure that you're lining the top of the pattern up with the top of your pouch. Now, just like the other one I made, I'm going to go for the collage effect using these pre-made tags that I got from Walmart. So again, I'm going to use one of these tree tags, but I wanted to give you a close-up and look at this Santa, because they made his glasses 3D, and I just think that is so funny. It looks like he has a pair of cool shades on, right? So again, just like on the other one, I'm going to take advantage of something that was already pre-made, and I'm just going to add this to the front of my cocoa pouch. I'm going to layer on one of these pretty tree tags, and then I'm going to give my Cool Santa, a little tuck over here on the other side. And I like these tags because you can open them up and write a little message in there. And even though this decorating is simple, there's still a lot of dimension to it, and I like that this little ribbon hangs off the top. And just like the other one, we have plenty of room in our envelope to add our hot cocoa pouch and our candy cane. And again, if you want to give a gift card, you can slip one in there too. Or like I said, you can do some lottery tickets or a little treat or a tea bag, anything like that. And there's hot cocoa pouch number 2. For the last hot cocoa pouch, you will need a special tool. So I'm going to use the envelope punch board to make my cocoa pouch. I'll have this linked in the description box below. I get so much use out of this. And the thing I like about it is it has the guide right on the front. So you just have to find the card size that you have, and then it'll tell you what size paper to cut to make an envelope. So we're going to do an envelope style hot cocoa pouch. And for this one, I picked a card size that is 4.5 by 4.5. So it's telling me that I need a piece of paper or cardstock that is 7.5 by 7.5. And I'm going to use the 3 3/4 inch line as my guide. So I already have my 7.5 by 7.5 paper here. And when it says 3 3/4 inch line as your guide, that's the measurement that goes across the top here. So I'm going to slide my paper in under this little button, and I'm going to slide the edge of my paper to 3 3/4 because that's the guide it's telling me to start with. So once I have the edge of my paper lined up here on 3 3/4, I just need to give it a punch. And then from the right side of this opening, I'm going to slide down. There's a score line over here, so you just have to slide your tool down, and this tool comes with the envelope kit. Now, it's really simple after this part. There's a little tab that comes out here. So I'm going to turn my paper once, and I'm going to line that score line that I just created up with this tab. So I don't have to worry about the measurements anymore. I'm just using this little tab that comes out to get everything lined up. So now that my score line is lined up with that tab, I'm going to give it another punch, and I'm going to run my tool down that score line again. And we have to do that 2 more times. So I turned it once, lining that score line up with my little tab, give it a punch, and then score it 1 more time. And again, line up that score line with that tab, give it a punch, and that's our last score line. So you can see we started out with a square piece of paper, which we still have, but now we have notches cut out on all 4 sides, and it's hard to see, but there are score lines going along each of the sides as well. Now, one other thing you can do with your envelope punch board, I'm going to turn it to the side here. There's also a punch on this side. So once you have the base of your envelope created, you just have to slide each of the corners back in there and give it a punch, and it rounds the corners for you. So I'm going to go ahead and round all 4 corners of my envelope. And this is optional. You don't have to around the corners if you don't want to. I just like how that looks. And again, I'm using pattern cardstock, so I have Santa on one side and some buffalo plaid on the other. One thing I do want to mention, if you don't have the envelope punch tool, if you have a scoreboard that you use to score different lines, most scoreboards will come with an envelope making guide on the back side. I've never used this one, so I'm not going to walk you through it, but you can see on this one there's just a few different envelope sizes you could make, but there is a 6-inch square envelope that you can make with a 10 by 10 piece of cardstock, so that would work for this project also. So if you have a scoreboard but you don't have an envelope punch board, check your scoreboard to see if it has an envelope guide on it for you. Now the rest of the assembly for our hot cocoa pouch is pretty simple. I'm going to lay mine down with this Santa side facing me because I want to see more of this buffalo plaid side. So I'm just going to take my envelope and I'm only going to fold up 3 of the flaps. So I'm using my bone folder here, and as I fold in the 3 flaps, I'm just using my bone folder to make sure everything is nice and creased down. So I have my my top flap, I didn't fold that, and I'm not going to. I'm going to leave that up as a flap. So to get everything adhered down into an envelope, I'm just going to add a small amount of glue to that side. And then I like to fold the bottom flap up over the two side flaps. So I'm going to add some of my glue to this bottom flap here, and then fold that up over my two side flaps. And anytime I use wet adhesive, I always like to give it a little bit of a burnish with my bone folder just to make sure that that glue really sets in place. So this is the base for our last hot cocoa pouch. I'm going to do one other thing just to make it a little more fancy. So I have a scrap piece here of the same paper, and I have a 1-inch circle punch. I'm just going to cut out 2 circles out of this paper. And these are going to go on the top of the envelope. So since I have my Santas showing here, I'm going to make sure that you can see the buffalo plaid side. So I'm going to take a little bit of my glue, and I'm just going to put this circle right at the top here, and you'll see why here in a minute. And then on the other side, it really doesn't matter which side. This is the back side of the pouch, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the buffalo plaid side up too. You're not really going to be able to see that. But I have my 2 circles lined up here. And the reason I added these circles is to act as reinforcement. So I'm going to use my hole puncher here. And I'm just going to line the center of that circle up in my hole punch and give it a little hole punch. And now I have a hanging hole at the top here to string some ribbon through. I have a piece of this burlap and gold ribbon. I'm just going to feed that right through this hole. And this is totally optional. You don't have to do anything like this. I just thought this would look really cute if somebody wanted to hang this somewhere. Or I know one thing that my mom always does when she comes to my house, I usually have my parents and my pap over for Christmas Eve, is the cards that she brings for my husband and I. She always likes to stick them in the tree before we start opening gifts. I don't know why, but she's done that ever since I was a kid. She's always placed the cards in the tree. So now as an adult, I always stick cards and gift cards that I have wrapped up in the tree as well. And I thought if you were giving this as a gift and you're going to somebody's house, you could hang this on their tree. Let me know in the comments if you have any funny like traditions like that you do, or maybe you do the hanging of the cards in the tree too. And again, like with the other cocoa pouches, I'm going to use my pre-made tags to decorate this, just because, like I said, we're running out of time. It's so close to Christmas, so take a shortcut while you can, right? I've been using these pre-made tags to decorate all of my hot cocoa pouches, and there's so many out there. I got mine from Walmart, but I know the Dollar Tree has really stepped it up this year, and well, actually for the past couple years, they've really had some pretty gift tags that have a lot of dimension to them. So you can find some really affordable gift tags everywhere. And these paper packs, you know, a lot of times they come with journal cards, they come with sticker sheets. So if you have more time, you could create your own embellishments on your hot cocoa pouches. But I just wanted to show you a quick way, if you're really pressed for time, how you can save yourself a few minutes by using something that's already pre-made. And you can see this is probably the biggest pouch out of the 3 that I've done. So there's a ton of room in here if you wanted to add some extra things to this as well. But again, just like the other ones, we have room for our cocoa pouch, we have room for our candy cane, and we have room for a gift card. And this one you can hang somewhere if you'd like to do that too. Here's all 3 of our cocoa pouches laid out. That took no time at all. So if you're pressed for time, make sure, like I said, take advantage of shortcuts where you can. Use pre-made things if you need to. It's okay. All right, everyone, thank you so much. This is my last video for 2023. I'll have a playlist linked in the description box of all 12 Christmas videos I did for December. So if you want to check any of those out that you missed, they'll all be in a playlist. I hope you have a really Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you next year.